15 hours until the ultimatum expires, one that could change the entire world. And while this countdown is ticking, things are happening right now that our media is completely ignoring. Yesterday, Iran announced that it would not only wipe out the entire Middle East, including Israel, but also destroy the global internet. And while these dramatic announcements are being silenced, something even more dangerous is happening at the same time. Putin has announced the potential use of a massive bomb, something that would overshadow anything we've seen before, a political taboo that was previously considered untouchable. So watch this video until the end, because today things get serious. And the countdown is running. The next 15 hours will be decisive, not just for the Middle East, but for the entire world. The Iran war is completely out of control, and both Donald Trump and Iran have effectively gone all in, like in a poker game. And last night we already saw a preview of what's coming. While Israel initially censored all missile impacts on its territory, television is now showing every incoming rocket. And yesterday there were extremely intense recordings, showing not only highly advanced maneuverable missiles, but also the exact moment cluster munitions were deployed. Apparently, the attacks were so severe that Israel decided to completely shut down its airspace. How long this shutdown will last hasn't been stated, but the fact that the entire airspace is closed on day 23 of the war speaks volumes. But it's not just Israel where things are escalating. Tensions are also rising in London. Breaking news: ambulances belonging to the Jewish organisation Hatzalah in London were set on fire. And that, my dear viewers, is absolutely disgusting. You can think whatever you want about Netanyahu or the Iran war, but setting ambulances on fire is beyond unacceptable. And unfortunately, I expect we will see more incidents like this in the coming days. But back to Iran, because the ground offensive is now entering its next phase. According to a report by the Washington Post, around 4,500 US Marines are currently moving into the Middle East to prepare for battle over the Strait of Hormuz. An entire infantry battalion has been deployed, supported by helicopters, F-35 fighter jets, and armoured amphibious vehicles. Preparations on the ground are already in full swing, as US forces are now targeting the Iranian coastline and preparing everything for a potential invasion. Reports are coming in of large-scale attacks on Iran's coast: Bandar Abbas, Bushehr, Bandar Lenge, and Keshem Island. These appear to be US strikes aimed at weakening Iran's defence systems along the Strait of Hormuz. Likely preparation for a ground offensive. In my last video, I already said that such a ground offensive, especially around the Strait of Hormuz, would be a suicide mission, where many US soldiers would likely lose their lives. But now there are reports suggesting that this might actually be part of Donald Trump's plan, using potential casualties as justification for a full-scale invasion of Iran, framing it as retaliation. And honestly, that's just disturbing, almost unimaginable. But at this point, nothing about Donald Trump shocks me anymore. I believe he's capable of anything, especially when we consider that the ultimatum expires in just 15 hours. And yesterday, Trump escalated things even further. He said, "You will soon find out what will happen to the power plants when the ultimatum expires. The result will be very good. It will lead to the total destruction of Iran. And it will be great." Source: Israeli Channel 13. But it's not just Trump escalating. Iran has also intensified its threats. Iran has now issued threats not only against the entire Middle East, but also against the entire world. And Putin has made a catastrophic threat as well. But we'll get to that shortly. First, Iran. Iran has just released a detailed list of targets it will strike if Trump attacks its power grid. These are not vague threats. These are specific locations, country by country. Ras Al Khair, desalination plant in Saudi Arabia, the largest in the world. Millions would lose access to drinking water. Shuqaiq power plant, collapsing the power grid in southern Saudi Arabia. Al-Qarsa and Ras Lafan, causing blackouts in Qatar and cutting off water supply. Taweelah desalination plant, critical for the UAE's water supply. Baraka nuclear power plant, risking nuclear contamination across the region. Al-Dur power and water facility in Bahrain, a primary source of electricity and water. Nuclear facility in Kuwait responsible for desalination. A Aqaba thermal power plant and Samra power station in Jordan. These are not military bases. They are 100% civilian infrastructure essential for water and electricity. If Iran follows through, it would destroy the basic living conditions for millions of people in the Middle East. So far, Iran has refrained from such catastrophic measures, even after US strikes reportedly hit Iranian water facilities. But now, with this ultimatum, Iran may feel it has no other choice. But this is only the beginning. Now it gets even more serious. Iran is threatening to attack undersea cables, the backbone of global internet connectivity in the Persian Gulf. Such an action would massively disrupt global communications. The effects would be worldwide, impacting Africa, Europe, and Asia alike. To put this into perspective, 95% of global internet traffic runs through undersea cables, physical fibre optic lines lying up to 60 metres deep on the ocean floor, and 30% of global data traffic passes through a bottleneck, the Strait of Hormuz. Banking, servers, communications, financial systems, everything depends on these cables, and they are largely unprotected. So Iran is not just threatening oil and gas infrastructure, but also the entire global internet and communication system. If you're starting to feel concerned about the future, hold on, because it gets even worse. The Russian defense minister stated yesterday that Iran possesses an offensive missile system that even the United States does not have. Highly advanced missiles that have not yet been used. Iran reportedly has an arsenal capable of destroying the entire Middle East, not just Israel. And Russia issued a warning. The United States and Israel must end the war immediately and declare the failure of military operations against Iran. Otherwise, the losses and damage will be a surprise. Let that sink in. If that's the case, Israel might feel forced to carry out a nuclear first strike against Iran. But even that wouldn't save the situation, because Russia would respond. Here's a statement from Colonel Douglas Macgregor, former advisor to the US Department of Defense. If you use a nuclear weapon against Iran or anyone in the Middle East, we will use a nuclear weapon against you. And that's the reality. If Israel uses nuclear weapons, Russia responds, and then nothing remains of the Middle East. And potentially the entire world follows, with the US, Europe, and China all being drawn in. We are standing at a turning point in history. Either Donald Trump follows through with his ultimatum, risking the destruction of the entire Middle East, or he backs down, which could signal the end of America as a global superpower. Because if the United States backs down in front of Iran, then no one will take them seriously anymore. Not Russia, not China, not even smaller countries like North Korea. Trump is facing one of the most extreme decisions imaginable: destroy the Middle East, or risk ending America's global dominance. And the clock is ticking. The ultimatum expires in just a few hours. So now I want to hear your opinion. Will Donald Trump escalate? Or will he pull the emergency brake and save millions of lives? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see how this unfolds, because this is only the beginning.